My name is James Afungu.
My name is Stan Mwanakayaya. I'm Director City Planning for Livingstone City Council in Zambia.
We want to look at Livingstone City Council and the good practice, the formulation of the integrated development plan, and something spectacular about Livingstone City.
We are also the tourist capital of the country. So we house one of the 7 natural wonders of the world, the Victoria Falls.
What was the situation in Livingstone before the introduction of the good practice, that's the integrated development plan?
Before the integrated development plan was started, we used to plan in isolation, where you have education sector having their own planning process. You have the health sector, for example, also having their own planning process. Also water, energy sector, everyone planning in silos. Because of that, you find that resources were going to waste. In terms of planning, there's no coordination. In terms of monitoring, you don't know how far you can actually record in terms of progress made. So those were the challenges that we're facing. So hence, this integrated development plan is actually guided in terms of its implementation. We have what we call the Urban and Regional Planning Act, which enshrines the period to be 10 years. So it's a 10-year plan, which should be reviewed every after 5 years.
Then what process led to the formulation of the integrated development plan for Livingstone City Council?
We have what we call a council constituted by civic leaders, councillors. So that board approved our plan. So we had advertised and we had a buy-in from everyone around the city. So when that was done, we formulated an integrated development plan team.
What is the main challenge that's being addressed by the integrated development plan?
First of all, how do we diversify? We have a challenge, for example, of COVID-19 that has really ravaged, and tourism is one of the areas that have really been affected. Then the second thing, we look at other sub-issues in other sectors. How do we address the issue of adequate energy? Because mostly in our country, we depend on hydro-powered electric generation. So how do we look at improving solar energy and other energy forms so that we can sustain our city? Then we also improve other sectors like sub-issues under health. We are looking at how do we address the common pandemics, the common diseases that we have, issues to do with, say, malaria. We are a tourist capital, we host international visitors. So how do we curb issues to do with malaria? How do we curb issues to do with HIV/AIDS? How do we look at or protect ourselves to all these issues to do probably with corona and so on and so forth? So that is what now the document is trying to look at over a period of time.
Another question, who was mainly affected by the challenge issues being addressed by the integrated development plan?
Basically, the common people are the most affected. And when you talk about the common people most affected, we begin now to dissect them, where we find that there are many challenges affecting the women out there, because these are people mostly that we find trading at the market out there. These are the people that are supplying, I think, ornaments, a number of things to tourists, a number of things to many other people. They're the people that are even involved in the agricultural subsector, and they're producing various foodstuffs that are supplied to these lodges, that are supplied to the general population of Livingstone.
Has this project contributed towards mitigation and adaptation to climate change?
The document is actually advocating for a tree planting project. It's one of the major projects that it has advocated under the forestry department.
What are the concrete, tangible results, outcomes, or impacts of the good practice that are attributed to the integrated development plan in the Livingstone City Council?
Through the integrated development plan, we've been able to integrate all the planning processes within what we have defined now as a central business district through the local area plan. I think we've also been able to be approached. I think there are a number of districts around that have been coming to learn and also to just be brought by the government. They've been sent here so that we can train them on the planning procedures as planning authorities. How do they handle a number of, so far we've had, I think, 2 districts, Kazungula, which is our neighbor here, and another one called Sesheke. They've been here to just learn the planning processes and how do. So I think through our IDP, we've been able to see a number of these impacts that are coming through.
Now, what are the main lessons learned in course of the formulation of the integrated development plan?
Okay, I think in terms of the planning process, it is always important to plan with the people, not for the people. Then I think the second thing that we've learned through this process is that resource allocation should actually be looked at with a foreseen or a planned impact.
Great. Stan, what are the necessary preconditions to transfer this practice to any other place that or stakeholder that may want to adopt it?
There should be a regulated body or institution. Then there should be a legal framework. Then there should be documented guidelines so that those guidelines now can guide you on how do you start. There should be integration in terms of the activities, programs, projects that are going to be done. It doesn't matter whether the other stakeholders will finance or whether they will be on board, but everyone should know so that in future there's no conflict in terms of implementation.